Two sisters lived under one roof, but jealousy had already chosen its victim long before anyone noticed. Zuri and Scholola grew up in the same house, ate from the same kitchen, and shared the same father. Yet, their lives felt like two different worlds forced to touch. Their father, Mr. Fifi, had married two women. Zuri was the daughter of his first wife, Mrs. Pisa. Scholola was the daughter of his second wife, Mrs. Trudy. From the outside, the house looked normal, even peaceful. But inside, it was a storm of quiet tension, silent resentment, and eyes that measured each other constantly. Mrs. Pisa and Mrs. Trudy had never truly accepted each other. Their rivalry did not begin with one explosive fight. It grew like a creeping vine, fed by tiny arguments, pointed looks, and bitter words that lingered long after they were spoken. They fought over cooking, household duties, whose daughter behaved better, and who deserved more of Mr. Fifi's attention. Some days they avoided each other completely, walking past in tense silence. Other days they spoke politely, but every word carried a sting. Mr. Fifi tried to calm them, but his patience wore thin. The house had become a battlefield, hidden behind polite smiles. Zuri noticed this tension from the earliest days she could remember. She felt it like a shadow, curling around her heart whenever her mother entered the room. Scholola's eyes often followed her with cold calculation. Still, Zuri chose a different path. She believed that kindness could soften even the hardest hearts, that love could bridge walls built by jealousy. Each morning, she greeted Scholola warmly, even when Scholola pretended not to hear. When chores were divided, Zuri helped quietly, without complaint. When Scholola forgot her books, Zuri carried them home. She never demanded thanks or recognition. Her hope was simple. A sister's love could be nurtured, even in a house divided. Scholola did not see it that way. Her mother, Mrs. Trudy, whispered doubts into her ear repeatedly. "She wants to steal your father's love," she said. "She wants to shine while you fade." At first, Scholola hesitated, but repeated warnings planted seeds. Suspicion replaced trust. Over time, she stopped seeing Zuri as a sister and began seeing her as a rival, a threat to her happiness before it could even begin. One evening, a neighbor visited to thank Mr. Fifi. Zuri had helped an elderly woman carry heavy water containers and groceries earlier that day. Mr. Fifi praised her at dinner, his voice warm with pride. Zuri did not celebrate. She only nodded, quiet and composed. Across the table, Schola's hands tightened around her spoon. A painful burn of shame and envy spread through her chest, though no one had accused her of anything. Later that night, Mrs. Trudy leaned close to Scholola, her whispers sharpening the girl's pain. "Do you see?" she murmured. "She's trying to shine so brightly that you disappear." Scholola's chest constricted. She slept poorly that night, dreams haunted by a sister who seemed to take everything she could never have. Years passed. The sisters grew into young women under the same roof, yet their spirits had diverged completely. Zuri continued helping her mother at the bustling market, arranging vegetables, measuring grains, and calling out prices. She worked tirelessly, quietly proud of easing her mother's burden. Slowly, she saved small coins from leftover change, tucking them into a hidden tin under her bed. One afternoon, a small blue dress in a shop window caught Zuri's eye. Simple, neat, elegant. She pictured Scholola wearing it, imagined a small smile, a fleeting thank you. Hope fluttered in her chest. Perhaps, she thought, a small act of kindness could finally break the wall between them. The next day, she counted her coins. They were just enough. She bought the dress and brought it home carefully. That evening, she handed it to Scholola. "I bought something for you," she said softly. Schola's eyes flickered. A brief softness before cold judgment returned. Mrs. Trudy's face hardened. "Where did you get money for this?" she asked sharply. "I saved," Zuri replied calmly. Schola pushed the bag back. "Do not try to impress me," she snapped. "I do not need your charity." "It is not charity," Zuri said quietly. "I know what you are doing," Scholola interrupted. "You want everyone to think you are better than me." Mrs. Trudy nodded. "Stop pretending to be a saint," she added. The words cut deeper than Zuri expected. She picked up the bag and walked away. That night, folding the dress back into her tin, she felt pain ripple through her heart. For the first time, she wondered if love alone could reach a sister who had already chosen hatred. From that moment, Zuri stopped proving herself. She remained polite, but quiet grew within her. While she focused on her own path, jealousy thrived in Scholola's heart, silently plotting, waiting for its moment. Years passed, and the quiet patience of one sister would soon face the full storm of jealousy she had always tried to ignore. Zuri continued to live her life with quiet strength. She helped her mother at the market, studied diligently, and saved small amounts of money from the coins she earned. Her heart remained soft, despite years of cold rejection from Scholola. Every act of kindness, whether helping a neighbor or giving a lost child directions, brought Zuri a silent sense of purpose. She never boasted, never sought praise. The joy she felt came from knowing she had done what was right. Scholola, however, had grown under a shadow of constant comparison. Her mother's words echoed endlessly in her mind. She is trying to outshine you. She wants what should be yours. Scholola began to measure every smile, every gesture, every act of Zuri's as a challenge. Her eyes, once capable of warmth, now held suspicion. Every praise Zuri received felt like a blade against her own heart. And yet, a part of Scholola longed for love, for admiration, for the simple warmth of a sister's affection, but pride and jealousy refused to let her admit it. One rainy afternoon, fate presented a test of character. Zuri, carrying her basket of vegetables, noticed a young man collapse by the roadside. People hurried past, indifferent, but Zuri could not. Her heart ached at the sight of his shaking form, the water soaking through his thin clothes. Without hesitation, she ran to a nearby shop, borrowed water, and helped him sit up. She knelt beside him, murmuring comforting words, wiping mud from his clothes, praying silently for his strength. The young man was Jordan. Jordan had been sick, isolated, and struggling to recover. When Zuri helped him, he felt a warmth he had not experienced in months, a kindness untainted by judgment or expectation. As he regained his strength, he sought her out, wanting to repay a debt he could never measure. Their conversations were small at first, simple greetings and shy smiles, but gradually they grew. Jordan admired her humility and resilience, while Zuri noticed his quiet patience and respect. Every meeting left her heart lighter, a spark of hope she had not dared to feel before. Meanwhile, Scholola observed from a distance. She saw Jordan speaking with Zuri, laughing at her gentle jokes, complimenting her actions. Each scene was a torment to her pride. Her heart throbbed with confusion and anger. She could not understand why Zuri, always quiet and giving, attracted attention and love, while she felt invisible despite her mother's constant warnings and promises. Her resentment grew quietly, hidden beneath polite nods and forced smiles. Time passed. Zuri's simple life continued to blossom into something meaningful. Her small acts of kindness had a ripple effect. Neighbors began to trust her more, strangers smiled when she passed by, and Jordan's admiration deepened into love. When he finally asked for her hand in marriage, Zuri felt a happiness she had never known. Her heart swelled with gratitude and peace. Yet, back at her father's house, jealousy festered. Scholola's heart could not bear the thought of Zuri being loved, celebrated, and chosen. Mrs. Trudy saw the growing tension and seized on it. "There is a man interested in you," she said one evening, her voice sharp, forcing Scholola into a quick engagement. Scholola's heart sank. She had not chosen this path. She had been guided by fear, comparison, and a mother's ambition. The marriage happened swiftly. Scholola entered a home of wealth, but not warmth. Her husband Dan was distant, controlling, and cold. The dreams of a life filled with happiness quickly turned into a cage. Nights were filled with silence, days with demands. Scholola's anger and jealousy, once directed at Zuri in subtle ways, now festered inwardly, mixing with regret and helplessness. Meanwhile, Zuri's life flourished quietly, each day filled with laughter, peace, and hope. When she discovered she was expecting, her heart overflowed with gratitude. She prayed for strength, for wisdom, for a child who would be healthy and happy. Scholola, too, became pregnant, but her heart carried a heavy mix of fear, envy, and lingering resentment. Both sisters approached motherhood differently. Zuri with calm faith, and Scholola with a tense, fearful determination to compete. Neither could foresee that fate had a cruel test waiting for them, one that would stretch the bonds of love, family, and jealousy to the breaking point. The stage was set. The night of their deliveries would not only challenge their strength as mothers, but would reveal the true cost of envy and the power of love that quietly endures. The night of their deliveries would test the bonds of sisterhood, and the quiet patience of one would soon clash with the storm of jealousy. The hospital was tense that evening, a storm raging outside as if the world itself sensed the battle about to unfold. Zuri clutched Jordan's hand tightly, each contraction sharp, yet her face remained calm. Her heart trembled with fear for her child, but it also overflowed with hope. "Stay with me," she whispered, more to herself than to him. Jordan never left her side, his eyes soft but alert, reflecting the worry and love he felt for both her and the tiny life growing within her. Across the corridor, Scholola writhed in pain, but her mind raced faster than her body. She had never felt so powerless, so trapped. Dan hovered, distant, and distracted, offering no comfort. Scholola's fear, already steeped in jealousy, now mingled with loneliness. She watched nurses, counted seconds between contractions, and thought bitterly of Zuri, imagining her sister lying calm, holding Jordan's hand, smiling through the pain. Her chest tightened. Every heartbeat felt like a reminder that life had always favored Zuri. Zuri's baby arrived first, a healthy boy who cried loudly, strong and full of life. Tears streamed down her face as Jordan leaned close, whispering prayers of thanks. She held him close, overwhelmed by gratitude and relief. Every moment of struggle, every silent act of kindness she had given to the world, felt rewarded in the tiny wiggling hands of her newborn. Moments later, Scholola's baby girl was born. Weak, fragile, barely breathing, she needed urgent care. Scholola's tears were a mixture of fear and guilt, her exhaustion crushing her spirit. She whispered frantic prayers, silently begging for strength, for life, for hope. Yet, deep inside, a dark seed planted by years of jealousy stirred. The thought that Zuri's child had already claimed the attention, the admiration, the love she had been denied. Mrs. Trudy, standing beside her, fought her own panic, seeing danger in the fragile infant's weakness. That night, when the hospital quieted and nurses moved to other wards, Mrs. Trudy made a decision that would shatter lives. She walked slowly to the nursery, her heart pounding, hands trembling. Fear and jealousy twisted her reasoning, convincing her that Zuri's happiness had to be balanced by Scholola's gain. With careful, deliberate motions, she switched the identification tags. Zuri's healthy boy went under Scholola's name. Scholola's weak baby girl was recorded as Zuri's child. Guilt clawed at her, but envy pushed her forward. "I did this for her," she whispered to herself, hiding the truth beneath a mask of love. The next morning, Zuri held the baby girl in her arms. Her maternal instincts were immediate. The child was weak, yes, but she felt no anger, only an unshakable love that refused to falter. "You are my little one," she murmured, rocking her gently, whispering promises of protection, growth, and happiness. Jordan watched silently, trusting her judgment, unaware of the cruel swap orchestrated by jealousy. Scholola, holding the boy, felt pride mixed with unease. He was strong, healthy, and kind, everything her mother said a child of hers should be. Yet, deep inside, a small part of her felt confused. Her son's calm nature and gentle demeanor occasionally reminded her of Zuri's strength and patience, stirring feelings she could not name. She pushed them down, unwilling to admit the truth forming quietly in her mind. Years passed. The children grew under these twisted circumstances. Zuri's daughter, though loved, became angry, stubborn, and distant, her spirit shaped by subtle struggles and an inexplicable weakness that caused her frustration. Zuri's heart ached at each harsh word, each act of defiance, but her love remained unwavering. She prayed, guided, and nurtured, believing that patience and kindness could overcome even fate's cruel twists. Scholola's son, however, grew into a gentle, polite, and thoughtful young boy. His every act reflected the kindness and strength of Zuri, though Scholola could not see it without jealousy clouding her perception. Relatives noticed, neighbors praised, and sometimes Scholola herself felt a pang of confusion. Her son was remarkable, but why did he mirror Zuri's nature so perfectly? Each observation tightened the coil of fear, envy, and doubt within Mrs. Trudy and Scholola, threatening to explode at the first sign of challenge. The quiet tension that had marked Zuri and Scholola's childhood now echoed in the next generation. One small act of kindness, one soft smile, one moment of misbehavior, all became magnified, shaping hearts, minds, and destinies. The stage was set for the final revelation, a truth long buried under years of jealousy, misunderstanding, and quiet endurance. Some truths refuse to stay hidden, and when they rise, they destroy lies and reshape every heart. The family gathering started quietly, but tension hung in the air like a storm about to break. Zuri's daughter, frustrated and misunderstood, spoke sharply to Scholola in a way no child should. The words pierced the room. "That child is not yours." Time froze. Every eye turned toward Scholola. Her heart skipped, confusion and anger erupting at once. She stared at the girl in disbelief, her mind struggling to process what had just been said. What did you say?" she whispered, voice trembling. Zuri's calm voice cut through the shock. "What did you just say?" she asked, carefully holding back the surge of pain, her eyes welling with tears. Jordan stood close, offering silent support, his hand warm and steady on Zuri's shoulder. Mrs. Trudy's face went pale. Her hands shook. The years of jealousy, lies, and hidden schemes had built a fragile empire, and now It was crumbling. Tears streamed down her face as she fell to her knees, the weight of guilt crushing her. I did it, she sobbed, voice raw with despair. I switched the babies. I thought I was protecting you, us. Scholola's scream tore through the room, a mixture of rage, betrayal, and heartbreak. You ruined my life. My child, my everything, she shouted, collapsing onto the floor, trembling. Her husband, Dan, looked on helplessly. The reality of the deception struck him too. Scholola's son, the child she thought was hers, was not biologically hers, and her daughter, weak, stubborn, and distant, had belonged to Zuri all along. Zuri, though shocked, remained composed. Her chest tightened, but she did not let anger rule her. She walked slowly to her son, hugging him tightly. Tears streamed down her face, but her heart overflowed with gratitude. She whispered to him softly, "You are mine, always." Looking at the girl she had raised, Zuri's heart softened further. Despite the deception, despite the pain, her love did not waver. "A mother is not only blood," she murmured, rocking the girl gently. "A mother is love." Jordan held her hand, eyes glistening. He had witnessed patience, kindness, and forgiveness tested over years, and now he saw the full measure of Zuri's heart. Mrs. Trudy sat on the floor, broken and silent, realizing her envy had destroyed trust, fractured families, and almost ruined her daughters' lives. Scholola, though furious, also felt the hollow weight of her mother's choices and the consequences of her own jealousy. Her rage was overwhelming, yet powerless, against the truth laid bare before her. Tests confirmed everything. The children had been switched at birth. The truth, finally revealed, left no room for denial. Scholola's world collapsed, her marriage strained, her relationship with her son fractured, and her mind haunted by the years lost to envy. She was later taken for treatment, her life forever changed by the lie she had inherited and the choices she had made. Meanwhile, Zuri rebuilt. Her son returned to her arms, healthy and strong. Her daughter, though difficult, grew under the unshakable love of a mother who refused bitterness. Patience, care, and forgiveness became their shield. Neighbors whispered about Zuri's strength. Friends admired her resilience. Where hatred once threatened, love now ruled. In the end, the story became a legacy, a lesson echoing through generations. Jealousy destroys lives. Forgiveness rebuilds them. Zuri's heart, though tested, became the proof that even in the face of betrayal, love and patience could triumph, leaving behind a family healed not by blood alone, but by the enduring power of compassion.